Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mindset Channel. My name's Jono,
Hey, and I'm Chrome.
the Mindset Channel where ancient wisdom meets practical strategies for moving yourself forward in life.
That's it, Baron. And this episodes we'll continue on the mindset reset, and we're gonna be exploring day 7, day 8, and day 9. All right, let's start with day 7. By day 7, you will start getting, or you can start feeling in your mind the effects of these resets. To some people, the description that they say is they kind of feel lost. The rational, most likely that they're feeling that way is because they started letting go of things that they're familiar with and starting to embrace this new mindset. And remember, you're resetting your mindset, right? And another thing I just want to add before we continue to day 7 is your unconscious inside your psyche, your old self will do everything in its power. Will do everything in its power. I'll repeat that again to make sure your new self doesn't rise up and grow. So you'll start getting that battle within. My tip is just keep on going. And also talk to your old self. Talk to your old self and say, hey, it's okay. You're still going to be part of me. I know it sounds schizophrenic. You're talking to your old self, but that's what the mind is. It comprises of many versions and stories that you already know of yourself. And also, you need to talk to your old self to give your new self a chance to thrive. So remember, it will fight back.
That's exactly right. And this is the
Mm,
mistake a lot of people make when they're looking to do a real mindset reset like we're doing here. They make a little bit of progress,
mm,
think they're going in the right direction. Then they let their guard down just a little bit, and the old self starts to come back in. So, day 7 that we're up to here is really where you need to start pushing through. It's all about just consistency of effort and those simple steps forward. Leads us to day 7 here, which is
yep,
exploring new perspectives.
that's it. The objective here is to shift your perspective on challenges. Yeah. And the mindset tip on this one is a fresh perspective can show you paths you hadn't even considered before.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Crom. So let's
Mm.
go through the 5 points.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Go through the 5 points. So, very simply here, shift your point of view. Think about the stuck point from an angle, a different angle, an angle of perhaps a friend or a mentor. And what this does, this reminds me of a similar thing that I do with people when I'm in my own clinic. When people are sitting there explaining to me a situation that they just don't seem to know their way through. I get them to reverse it. It's actually the reverse of the point 1 here, but it's also exactly the same. They sit there and they explain their situation, and I'll basically say to them, okay, pretend I'm you, and I just told you everything you told me, and you're me.
Mm.
What would you tell me to do now?
Nice. Very
Okay.
nice. Yeah.
And because quite often people are really good at giving advice to other people because they can look at someone else's issue from an arm's length. Okay.
Mm.
And so they can give great advice. It's just when their own emotional pattern is involved that they struggle to come up with that advice for themselves. So looking at it from a different perspective is a very good way to engage yourself and get moving forward again.
Nice. It's funny that you say that because I asked my best mate a couple of months ago, if you met your young self, right? And you're going to give your young self a lesson of what you're going to be becoming and what you learned, would you do it in a kind way or would you be as harsh as you can be? And his response was like, oh, I'm going to tell that punk ass what to do. Okay, so yeah,
Well,
I like that point of
my
view, by the way.
response would be nothing because my younger self wouldn't listen anyway.
Well,
So,
that's the thing. Your young self would not listen, and I mean, as a teenager, I was a pain in the ass. You know, and I knew everything, right? How about
yeah.
role play? How about what's this role play thing? This is every time I hear role play, it makes there's two responses. One, you'll meet people that are super keen on doing it. And then the other one is the opposite. It's like, oh, do we have to do this?
Well, what it means is, and it's important to focus on. So I know the term role play gets mixed reviews from people when you first say it,
Hmm.
but it's important to take into account the context of what you're trying to do with the role play. So in this particular instance, what you're doing is simply putting yourself in the mindset of a person who's already made it through the
Yeah,
problem that you're trying to work out.
yeah.
And a simple role play of being in that perspective. You simply put yourself in the perspective of someone who's already been through the issue that you're looking to fix. And as you do, you actually open up thoughts that you actually already have, that you already know, that you're just not giving airtime to.
Mm, I like
Really
that.
simple, but really effective.
So what you're suggesting here is imagine yourself as already have achieved whatever goal you had, or you already succeeded in something that you want to do, and then ask that person.
Yeah. How did I do this? How did I get through this? And typically, people already know exactly what they have to do.
Mm. And sorry, let me ask further question on that one. When do they do this? Like in meditation or just how do they, because this is really interesting. How do they do this?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And it doesn't need to be in the form of a formal meditation or something like that. It can
Mm,
just literally a matter of just sitting back and clearing your head for a moment. I guess it is almost meditational. And just sit there and think about it. Spend just a couple of minutes on it. Okay. Put yourself in that position of that version of yourself that's already made it through this issue that you're trying to get through. Just say to yourself, how did I get through this?
mm,
And it's important that sitting there and looking at it like a meditation and spending an hour on it or something will likely be ineffective. Keep,
mm,
keep it very simple. Just simply run that question with yourself. How did I make it through this? Because people typically do have the answers, but their emotions get in the way.
mm. Wow. It's a very good point of view. It probably ties up to the first one, which is shift your point of view.
Yeah.
I just want to attach this one to that one. I remember when I play pool, for example, and when I get snookered, that means, guys, if you're not in Australia, when you're snookered in a game of pool here, that means there's no pathway for your ball to actually hit what it needs to hit or sink the ball that you're trying to target, right? That's snookered, right?
Yeah.
And by changing your point of view, maybe you can hit the sides of the table and all that stuff. That's 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 this one. And when I'm snookered, I always say this like, damn, I'm snookered, right? And then my mates was ready, guys, hey, what would Jesus do? Like as a joke. And then and it's funny because we always come up with an answer. Oh, I think Jesus would do it this way. All right, let's do that.
Love it.
I don't know why Jesus, by the way. We just do that as a joke, you know. Yeah. How about
All right.
seek outside opinions?
Okay, this ties in with something that I speak about all the time, and people likely get sick of me saying, and that's something that I've said to every client that I've ever had
Yeah.
is that Just because you think something doesn't make it true.
Mm.
Simple as that. We all form these opinions. We form our map, which we've spoken about in previous episodes
Yeah.
of, of how things work. And just because we think it doesn't make it true, it's important to check your opinion against outside evidence. Get other people's opinions. You might think you're the worst at something. You might think you're down the bottom of the pile, but as you go and actually check people's opinions, you might find out a very different perspective. Again, your own opinion can be actually clouded by your emotion attached to it, not actually based in reality. So it's
Mm.
important to, instead of going, well, I feel like I'm not good enough,
Mm.
check with outside evidence.
Yeah. And I believe that it also matters what kind, who you are actually asking for opinion about. For example, if you think the world will end, it doesn't pay to ask your old uncle about conspiracy theories on if the world will end, right? Because he'll probably say, yes, it will.
Yeah, maybe don't jump onto Reddit with these questions.
I also like asking people that are not, or should I say, that are experts in questions. That's one. The other one is someone absolutely neutral.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the other one is sometimes when I ask my best mate or my family, what they do is they try and protect me
yeah,
in a way that it might hurt my feelings or something. And all I'm trying to do is gather information, right? So I preempt. So when I approach, let's say, a family or my mates that they're trying to protect my feelings or my point of view, actually, my my sisters and my mates will not try and protect my point of view. That's why I surround myself with these people because they'll tell me the truth. Anyway, for example, if I ask my mom, right, what do you think of this? Right? She's probably gonna go, ah, is it helpful or is it gonna hurt me, my feelings? So she'll try and be kinder. If I'm really way off, should be absolutely harsh, right? But having said that, choose wisely and preempt saying, can you be absolutely honest with me in this one? Right? Speak freely. Don't worry how I'm going to feel. I just want to know.
yeah.
And then, boom, ask the question.
Exactly right. It's exactly right. And you're dead right. It's important who you ask, and it's people who are neutral and people who are experts. So the next progression of this, point number four, is simply listing alternatives. So
Yes, that's so good.
brainstorm three new ways of thinking about the stuck point that you haven't even considered. So just quite simply, if you're stuck on something, clearly the way you're thinking about it isn't working.
Mm,
And you can come up with the purpose of this one, you can come up with three completely off the wall ideas. As long as it's a different perspective to the way that's not getting you anywhere in the first place. Okay. And as you do that, one of those ideas might actually work, or it'll trigger you down the path of making a genuine change that will work. One of the important things with this doesn't have to be perfection, it's process.
yes.
Yeah.
And with the alternatives, also, I just want to add on to this one. Um, you only need one no for all ideas not to work, right?
Yeah.
Or how it's not going to work. And you will also catch yourself if you're really self-aware that you probably will come up that probably you will come up with, let's say, three alternatives. And your unconscious, which is trying to defend the perspective that you had that you got stuck on, because that's what it knows. And your conscious mind is trying to come up with three new things, right? You'll notice that your unconscious will defend its decision, how it got stuck. And the alternatives will be no, that won't work, no, that will not work, that will not work. And that's what Jono said right here, which is it's a process.
Yeah.
Just go with it, give it a go.
Exactly right. Making change in general is a process. What stops people making change is they sit back and wait for it to be perfect.
Mm.
That's not the way things work. Change is a process. All
Yeah.
right. Which leads us on to point number 5, the mindset shift, which is just a simple practice of throughout the day, just for fun, just for fun, even if it's not something you think you need to challenge. Just simply help reprogram your mind. When you've got an opinion that you believe is stuck on, just simply think to yourself, all right, what else could be true?
Mm.
What if what
Yeah.
I'm thinking isn't true? If that was the case, what else could be true? It enhances critical thinking and enhances your ability to shift mindset.
Yeah. I I did this during the lockdowns because I was so shocked that the many people became anti-vaxxers,
Mm.
right? Considering I've never heard of them talk about that vaccines are bad until the lockdowns, right? And including my business partner.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's a very intelligent guy, right?
Yeah.
So, so what I did is I actually listened to him, and he told me that it's big pharma, man. They're trying to get this and trying to do that. And I went, okay, that's how is that true? And then I asked other people what made that other argument true. And yes, they all have their intentions and their agendas in politics. And then I concluded, okay, I can now see where it's coming from. It's no longer lobe-sided, and it's no longer just my opinion. And I'll be honest with you, and guys, all you need to do is Google it twice, and you will find some form of truth.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's critical thinking. You're not being a no person. You're not also being a nice person or yeah person. You're just criticizing the information that you already know to make sure that you are in line with actually the truth. And the truth is so important.
It is. It is. And I think that what you say is very true. Like you only have to look at things from two perspectives. Google things twice, as you put it.
Yeah.
Look at things from two perspectives, and you might find some truth either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? And you might find a whole bunch of BS either way as well.
That's right.
Let's
That
uh, let's
is.
let's move along, yeah. So
Yep.
we've
Day
got
eight.
so day 8 is overcoming, and this is huge,
Mm,
overcoming the fear of failure. And in the thousands of hours of sessions I've done with people over the years,
yeah.
overcoming the fear of failure is absolutely key to making change. Absolutely key. Now, the objective here is simply redefine failure as feedback.
Yeah.
Very simple thing. And the mindset tip here is that failure is not a dead end, it's a stepping stone towards growth.
Yeah.
Okay. Another way to put it, anything worth doing well is worth stuffing up a couple of dozen times before you get it right.
The Jono, do you have any thoughts on why people are absolutely gobsmacked scared of failure?
Well, no one likes failure. No one likes failure. It taps into our base instinct to want to be recognized,
Mm,
to
that's
want
right.
to want to be successful.
Yeah.
Taps into our base instinct. But here's the irony of the whole thing. People get scared of failure, so they simply don't do anything.
Mm,
And the one way to assure that you fail at something is to not even give it a try.
yeah.
Okay, that's the irony of the fear of failure. So let's have a look at the 5 key points here. Okay,
Yeah.
the five. points under a feel of failure. So the first one is just identifying your fears.
Yeah.
Really, really easy. Write down the specific fears in relation to your stuck point. What are the specific fears that are keeping me stuck? Is it emotional? Am I scared of how people will look at me?
Mm.
So all of these things, understand what it is that you're actually scared of.
And when you identify them, you're putting that fear again. You're becoming, you're using your conscious mind now. You're putting it on paper. We discussed this now about 2 or 3 episodes now in a row, right? You're putting it in your conscious mind, and you're actually giving your rational mind a chance to write it down, and because it's going to appear on paper, right? Or your pad.
Yeah,
And
exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly right. So,
all right. Point number 2 of overcoming your fear of failure is reframing your failure.
yeah. And simply putting down and getting it down on paper, what can you learn from the failure? Simple as that. Rather than sitting there and being scared of the failure, put down your fears,
Mm,
down your list of fears, okay? And then write down what you could actually learn from failure.
mm,
And again, this reminds me, it always, whenever I talk about reframing failure, it always takes me back to that Nike ad with Michael Jordan in it years ago. And he's listing, I have missed this many dunks, I've missed this many free throws. I've failed time and time again. And
mm,
that is why I succeed. Okay. That's a guy that wasn't scared of failure.
mm.
And that is
That's
why he
that's Michael
succeeded.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a question. There is a question about this one. So the thing is, if they are fearing failure and they actually are writing their fears, how can they write that? Because it might really affect them.
Well, okay. That ties in with something that I get a lot of people doing, and that's journaling.
Mm,
It ties in with that. So when there's something, quite often when someone's stuck, it's the emotional part of their mind that's keeping them stuck. It
mm,
resides in the emotional part of the mind, obviously. Okay. So the simple act of writing things down
yeah.
engages you cognitively. It brings the logical part of your mind back into play. And so as you write these fears down, you're likely to look at them with a different perspective simply by that act of writing them down. Not just thinking about them, write them
Mm,
down. And you write down the fears, write down the failures, and write down the lessons that can come from them. Okay, and that helps you change your perspective of it.
yeah. How about emotionally? Would they cry more and or get freaked out more?
Oh, look, possibly briefly,
Mm,
possibly briefly. And making any positive change is going to come with its challenges.
yeah.
Um, but it's still worth doing. In that case, you don't want to have a fear of addressing your fear. Okay. That's leading towards a fear of actually writing my fears down. It's
That's another, don't start a new fear. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, exactly. So that sort of leads us on into that point 3 is visualizing overcoming fear.
Mm,
So just I'm big on visualization, as anyone who's worked with me knows.
yeah,
Put
yeah.
yourself in a position where you're visualizing yourself taking on tasks that frighten you. Visualize yourself taking them on. Visualize yourself making it through these tasks successfully. And then think about how you did it. then think about in that visualization, how did you actually go through it? And again, that exercise of visualizing activates parts of your mind that actually know what you need to do anyway. Just removes that emotional component that's keeping you held back.
That bloody emotion again,
Yeah.
eh?
All in trouble. It's all in trouble. That emotional part of our mind over on the right hand side
Mm.
is what is just where we all get into our trouble.
That's it. That's it.
I think that because I feel it's right.
And that's the thing about feelings. It's not intelligent. Is emotion intelligent?
Well, it's a contributor
Yeah.
to intelligence. But the way I always like to speak about it is because the emotional part of your mind is where everyone gets in trouble. Okay, it's
Mm.
there's no filter there. It's trigger reaction. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
that. So the way I like to think about it is the emotional part mind is for feeling. Do all the feeling you want and use that feeling as one of the inputs to make a good choice and good decisions in the more logical part of your mind. Use that emotional input as one of the inputs. It has to be a factor, but where people get in trouble is when they're residing in the emotional part of their mind. They're thinking there, they're doing their decision making there, and that's the last thing you want.
Mm. Emotional decisions that leads to actions.
Yeah,
That's
I can't remember when I last engaged in an emotional decision that worked for me.
it. Yeah, I occasionally I still do it.
Oh, we all
Spec
do.
yeah, yeah. Especially impulse buying, right? I went to Bunnings on Sunday because I need to replace the fluorescent light in my bathroom. And I found a high pressure washer for a car. I've
Everyone
always,
needs one of those. What's the problem?
I know, I want one, and I've been delaying it, right? And I finally saw it, half price. I was about to buy it. And my missus stopped me. It's like, baby, we came here for fluorescent lights.
I must admit, I find Bunnings a really dangerous place to shop. It's, I find it very difficult not to walk out there with another electric Ryobi tool.
Yes, yes, yes. Bunnings and JB Hi-Fi.
Yeah, yeah, they're very
Those
dangerous.
those three places. Okay, let's move on to take a small risk.
Yeah, and it means exactly. It's pretty much exactly what's written on the can. Simply take a small risk. Okay, where people make the mistake of getting into their fear of failing is when they get scared of failure and so they don't want to do anything. They just sit back and they think they've got to take a big risk. But again, it's that change doesn't come in giant leaps. Change comes in these small steps. So taking a risk, just start by taking a small risk. Overcome fear by taking a small risk that scares you a little bit, but it won't have catastrophic results if it doesn't work out. Take that small risk, okay? And then you can, within reason, up the ante as you can go, or you can just continue forward, going from one small risk to the next.
And the key word there, guys, is, you know, catastrophic results,
Yeah,
right? Small risks without catastrophic results, right?
yeah, and this is not, yeah, and this it's not like take a small risk, then put $1,000 on a horse, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
That's not what we're talking about here.
No, no.
We've
Or,
got
you got a
small,
fear of flights or heights, and then you go and bungee jump.
yeah,
Mm. No, start with a slide.
yeah,
Yeah.
jump off the second floor of your second floor. Start again.
Second step.
Jump off the second step of your stairs at home first.
That's it. Start there. Yeah. Okay, reward effort.
Yeah, and again, just as written on the can, reward effort. And this is the thing. It's good to be outcome focused. It's great. But again, back to the fact that everything is a process. Okay. And you're not always going to get the outcome you were after, but there are successful things that have happened along the way anyway. Simply taking effort, even if it didn't work out, it's a positive thing. You
Yeah.
overcame some level of fear, you made some effort. And in making effort, you developed at least part of a successful process.
Mm,
So
that's right.
don't be entirely fixated on the outcome. It's okay to celebrate effort itself.
I just want to add on to that one, Jono. And when you reward yourself, um, do not go back to the problem. I'll give you an example. When people are doing really well in the gym, right? And they go, "Oh, yay, I lost weight. Tomorrow is my cheat day." Right? That's the reward.
Yeah.
I can afford to eat this lolly now, or this
Yeah.
bar, or I can go to the buffet dinner now. I lost 5 kilos, right? Or worse, and I see this a lot with people that smoke. Oh, I just finished my paper. I'm gonna light up a cigarette.
Yeah.
So they're using addiction to reward whatever they just achieved. So
Yeah.
avoid rewarding yourself with things that will set you back.
Yeah, and that's it. It's not like you lose a kilo and say, "Oh, I've lost a kilo. Get me a carton of beer and a pizza." You know, that's not going to get you anywhere. But
No.
simply reward yourself simply for the effort, and it can be as simple as one of those signature crom pat
Yeah,
yourself on the back
that's
situation.
it.
Okay.
That's all you need to do. Yeah.
There
Mm. Okay, the next one is tapping into your future resources. The objective on this one is accessing your future self's wisdom. And the mindset for this one is your future self actually knows the way forward because you already achieved it, right?
Yeah.
So listen carefully to your future self's guidance. And we're starting to sound a bit woo-woo here, right?
Well, it could be perceived that way, but it's not at all. Okay. If you talk to elite athletes, okay, they engage in this stuff all the time. When I'm dealing with people, and I'm running hypnotherapy with them,
Yeah.
something that I do a lot with people is it's referred to as future pacing. Okay,
Mm,
it's referred to as future pacing is get them out of simply in a hypnotherapy session. I'll go through getting them out of their current mindset. Okay, leave that current mindset right here and place yourself in the position of a version of yourself 5 years from now. And this version of yourself has overcome X, Y, Z. This person of yourself has increased self esteem. This person of yourself believes that they can succeed. Occupy the space of that future version of yourself for a couple of minutes now and pick up the lessons of this future version of yourself. It's a really effective technique. It's a really good way of resetting people's minds and getting them out of a stuck mindset.
that's it. And how do you do that? You visualize your future self. You know how your future self looks like, how your future self sounds like, and how it feels after and how it feels to be your future self, which has already achieved what you're trying to do.
Exactly right. And the second step there is actually interview the future version of yourself. When you're in
Yep.
that mindset, interview the future version of yourself and just ask yourself to share how you overcame the challenge. And again, it taps into the fact that typically people already have the answer.
Mm,
Not actually that stuck. They already know what the answer is. They just might not like it,
mm,
or it might be a bit more effort than they're actually willing to commit to at the moment.
mm.
But they know what the answer is. And by reframing it and getting them to put themselves as a future version of yourself who's made it through, then asking that future version of yourself how they did it,
Yeah.
uncovers those thoughts that people just aren't giving airtime to.
The other one is write a letter.
Yep.
Okay, my suspension of disbeliefs have limits, right? Maybe I need to expand it, but how do you write a letter to your future self?
From your future self.
Oh, gotcha. Can you explain this then? I totally missed it.
So you're essentially writing a letter, and this seems like again, it can sound a little woo-woo, I suppose.
Yeah,
But you write a letter, and again, the idea of this is to keep you in that mindset of your future self. You're no longer this current version of yourself. That's the past self now.
yeah, yeah.
Okay? Keep yourself in the mindset of the future self and essentially write a letter back to yourself. And by doing this, you actually write a letter back to yourself in a critical way, but a positive critical way, pointing out the things that you're doing wrong, that
Oof.
you actually already know you're doing wrong. You just don't want to give time to thinking about it.
Wow, that's a
So
tough one. Yeah,
yeah, again,
but
this
a
is
necessary one, right?
absolutely, and it's this future pacing. It's this
Mm,
pace.
mm.
Simple as
I
that. Really effective technique.
Identifying strengths of your future self, is that what you meant here?
Yeah. So identify the strengths of the future self. Now, the reason for this, you identify the strengths of your future self because they're all the strengths you have now.
I love it.
It's as simple as that. It's just a simple way to reframe your thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
It's people are like, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. Okay, fine. Put yourself in the in the position of the future version of yourself, and think about the strengths this future version of yourself actually has and how they've achieved what they had. Oh,
Yeah.
that was my creativity, that was my persistence, all these things. Like, boom, you're the same person. You have all of that now.
Mm.
Yeah, people when
And
they're stuck, they forget to focus on their strengths. They focus on the fact that they're stuck.
yeah.
They get to think about the actual strengths.
And which lead us to the next question would be to your future self is what should I do?
Simple as that. Take an action step.
And that's a big
Any
deal. Any. And
step.
and like Jono keeps on saying, one step at a time.
Yeah. And look, take a step in the wrong direction if you want, but take a step. It's as simple as that. And if you find yourself going in the wrong direction, take a step back in another direction. Okay.
Mm,
The thing that keeps people, by definition, stuck is fear of failing.
mm,
And so they sit there and they don't take any step. The one
mm.
way to assure failure, continued failure, is to not take a step. So take a step in the wrong direction, take 10 steps in the wrong direction if you have to. You'll work it out and then change direction.
Yeah.
But you
And,
can
and
continue moving.
and now after you've done, you know, 10 steps in the wrong direction. Now you have evidence that's the wrong direction and you're no longer just thinking about it now. Now you know, and
Yeah,
your direction can be altered and corrected. So
absolutely.
anyway, this is a good session, brother. Thank you for watching this episode of the Mindset Channel. If you found this information useful, please click the subscribe button and the like button, and also click on the notification so when we release a new video, you will be informed. And once again, this is Crom Salvatera.
And this is John O. Smith.
We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye for now. See you next week, everyone.